Wahoo, hey, welcome to the Bike Lab today. So the question came up recently about what kind of tires should I use in cyclocross? And there's a zillion tires out there to choose from, so it's a little bit overwhelming. So there's a few things that you have to determine to figure out what the right tire is. The first thing is, are you a pro and you're going to be racing in a UCI sanctioned race? And if that's the case, read the rules, but if you're a pro, somebody's already putting the tires on your bike for you, so it probably doesn't matter. Most of you will not be racing in a UCI sanctioned race, and if you're not racing in a UCI sanctioned race, then you have much more latitude about tire width. So second thing you have to figure out is, what is this particular race that I'm racing on like? What's this course like? Is it a muddy day? Is it a flat day? Is it a grass day? Is it a technical day? So that's the next important thing. So if you're racing in a part of the country that's fairly dry, not a lot of mud, there's a lot of really good file tread tires out there. File treads mean they don't have big knobbies, and they're going to be faster on the parts where you don't need knobs. If you've got a course that doesn't need knobs, use a tire that doesn't have knobs, because that's going to be the faster tire. The guy next to you using a tire with a lot of friction knobs on it is not going to be as fast for the same amount of power, so, use that tire. The downside of using a tire that doesn't have a bunch of knobs on it is if you get into some technical thing where you need a lot of grip, the guy with the grip, the knobs on the tires, is going to leave you in the corners and you're going to be struggling to keep the bike upright. So know what this course is like. If the course appears to be, wow, it's a dry day and it's flat and I'm going to go with file treads, and then the course designer sets it up with S-turn after S-turn after S-turn after S-turn, and a couple of races I've been in, for instance, they did that, and it was early fall, so the grass that they were going on was dry and brown, like racing on hay, which is like racing on ice. And if you had the right tire, you stuck to that stuff, you could just blast through those corners. And if you had the file treads on, you were being very delicate around those corners, and it didn't matter that you had some straightaways, you could not make up your time with the file treads on the straightaways. So even though it was a fall race, it was a dry race, it was a flat race, you needed the knobs that day. So that's the next thing to figure out, is what is the course I'm racing on. Now, most people do not want to buy, 6 sets of tires, which is a legitimate concern. So most people are going to be looking for a tire that's going to be the all-around tire that's going to work for all of the races you're going to be in. And two of the tires that people really like for this are, well, for tubulars, the, how do you say it? It's spelled T-U-F-O. I don't know how you say that. Everybody says it differently. Tufo, those ones. Cubus, those tires are really good all around, are very popular. Another tubular tire that people really like is the Clement PDX. They're very similar tires, and they're great all around tires. So there's that. But if you're going to be using not tubulars, which I can understand because they're very expensive to set up, and very expensive if you get a flat, and so a lot of people are not going to want to be using tubulars. So if you're going to be doing the entry-level idea, which is your standard clincher tires, not tubulars, not tubeless, just clincher tires with tubes. You're going to want to stick with, again, an all-around tire. The Schwalbe Rocket Rons are ones that people really like, and Clement makes a clincher version of the PDX as well, which is another fantastic tire to use. These tires come in different widths, from 33s to, I think you can get all the way up to 38s. 38s are going to be slower unless it's a really muddy day and you're trying to kind of float a little bit, then you might want that bigger tire. But most of the time, a 34 is going to be just about exactly the right tire for you. Most of the time. And again, that's going to vary. If you weigh 110 pounds, then you're going to be able to get away with a skinnier tire, and you're going to be able to get away with lower tire pressure. If you weigh 220 pounds, you're probably going to want that 38 if you can get a hold of a 38 that also has the other characteristics you want. So weight makes a big difference in what you want in a tire. So here we come to the last point, and again, weight is an aspect of this. And the last point is, when you're racing cyclocross, the only suspension you have is the tires and your body, and you want your body to be making power, not doing suspension. So you want your tires to take as many bumps out as possible, and you want your tires to be as grippy in the corners as possible. So that combination means you want to run as low a tire pressure as possible. As low a tire pressure means you're going to start, if you're say a 170 pound guy, you're going to want to start at maybe 30 pounds pressure, and then let pressure out. The idea is to have the lowest possible pressure you can without getting a pinch flat. That's going to be different for all of you. If you weigh 110 pounds, you're not going to get a pinch flat ever because you don't have enough weight to squish that. It's not really true. You could get a pinch flat, but it's the bigger guys who are more likely to get the pinch flat. So we see guys who are 220 pounds running 40 pounds pressure, and the 130 pound person says, "You're crazy. You can't run that much pressure." But the 240 pound guy needs to run 40 pounds of pressure so he doesn't pinch flat, wreck his rims, get out of the race, get a DNF. You don't want a DNF. So lowest pressure that you possibly can without getting a pinch flat. So you start out with a high pressure, and you practice the course before the race. The day of the race, you show up early and you ride around the course and you figure out, is my tire pressure high enough to avoid the pinch flat and low enough that I'm gripping in all the corners. A lot of people are running about 28 pounds pressure, but most people who are running tire pressure in the mid-20s are either running tubulars or tubeless, so they don't have a tube to pinch, so they're not worried about a pinch flat. So if you're running a standard tube setup, you do have to worry about the pinch flat. Your tire pressure is going to be a little bit higher, which is not going to give you quite as good handling in the corners as the guy who has the really low tire pressure, but it's going to be good enough. It's going to work out for you. So that's kind of what's going on with tires. Give it a try. Cyclocross is so much fun. I'm going to see if I can do some more cyclocross videos during the season because it's just the funnest thing. Wahoo hey, subscribe today, share, put this on Twitter, get everybody to see it. See you next time.